Learning objectives. After completing these modules, learners will be able to understand what is poverty, with emphasis on rural and urban poverty. Analyze poverty on the basis of social exclusion and vulnerability. Define poverty line and incidence of poverty in India. Understand the impact of poverty on vulnerable groups. Assess interstate disparity in terms of poverty. Understand the extent of global poverty. Identify the causes of poverty. Explain the measures taken by the government to eradicate poverty.
Poverty as a challenge. Poverty is the general absence of basic necessities like food, clean water, shelter, healthcare, sanitation, clothing, and lack of a regular job to maintain a decent lifestyle. Poverty as seen by social scientists. Social scientists analyze poverty through other indicators like income and level of consumption. It is also understood through social indicators like illiteracy, lack of access to health care, job opportunities, safe drinking water, sanitation, etc., and malnutrition. The nature of poverty differs in rural and urban areas. Landless agriculture laborers or small farmers are also called rural poor, whereas unemployed or underemployed people in cities are urban poor. Studying poverty on the basis of social exclusion and vulnerability is a recent trend. Social exclusion means keeping the facilities enjoyed by the better off section of the society out of bounds for the poor. The poor are not allowed equal job opportunities. They are also barred from participating in social functions because of their castes. The caste system in India is a glaring example of social exclusion of the poor. Vulnerability is when a community, a backward class or individual, a widow, a child, or a handicapped person has the least chances or capability of dealing with the challenges of life. The vulnerable members have a greater probability of remaining or becoming poor in the coming years. They may not get equal chances for employment, education, or healthcare. At challenging times like natural disasters or a terrorist attack, these people are at a greater risk of facing harm. Poverty line. Poverty line is determined on the basis of income and consumption level. A person is considered poor if his or her income or consumption level is below a given minimum level necessary to satisfy basic needs. Poverty line may vary with time and place. The same yardsticks cannot be applied to every country. According to the World Bank, a person living on less than $1 per day is said to be living below the poverty line. Recently, this figure was raised to $1.25 per day. In India, the accepted average calorific requirement is 2,400 calories per person per day in rural areas and 2,100 calories per person per day in urban areas. Anyone consuming less than the accepted average is considered to be living below the poverty line. For the year 2011-12, a family of 5 members living in rural areas and earning less than about Rs 4,080 per month and a similar family in urban areas earning less than Rs 5,000 per month was considered to be living below poverty line. The National Sample Survey Organization (NSSO) conducts surveys periodically to determine the poverty line. Poverty estimates. The incidence of poverty declined from 45% in 1993-94 to 37.2% in 2004-2005 and further to 21.9% in the year 2011-2012. Though the percentage of the poor fell considerably, the number of poor remained stable at around 320 million for a fairly long period. Vulnerable groups. Though only 26% of our population is living under the poverty line, the proportion varies in different vulnerable groups. Social groups most vulnerable to poverty are scheduled caste and scheduled tribe households. Among the economic groups, the rural and urban agricultural households are the most vulnerable. The three groups, scheduled castes, rural agricultural laborers, and urban casual laborer households, showed a fall in poverty in 1990s. The condition of the scheduled tribe households has not improved. Interstate disparities. The number of poor people is not the same in all regions or states of our country. Studies have shown that in 19 states, the poverty ratio is less than the national average. Odisha and Bihar hold the highest poverty ratio at 32.6 and 33.7 respectively. Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and West Bengal have shown a visible decline in poverty. Haryana and Punjab could tide over poverty due to high agricultural growth. Kerala focused on human resource development. West Bengal introduced land reforms to improve the status to its people, whereas Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu can hold the improved public distribution system responsible for decline in poverty. Global poverty scenario. A substantial fall in global poverty has been observed in recent years. It is estimated that poverty fell from 28% in 1990 to 21% in 2000 in developing countries. China and Southeast Asian countries could achieve it due to rapid economic growth and improved human resources. The decline, however, has not been as rapid in South Asia nations like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh and Bhutan. In sub-Saharan Africa, poverty level increased from 41% in 1981 to 46% in 2001. The ratio of poverty remained unchanged in Latin America. In Russia and many former communist countries, poverty has resurfaced. The Millennium Development Goal of the United Nations aimed at reducing the poverty level to half of the 1990 level by 2015. Causes of poverty. The foremost cause of widespread poverty in India is colonial policies during the British rule, which destroyed the local economy. Low growth rate accompanied by rapid population growth persisted till 1980s. Consequently, there were less employment opportunities and low income. In agricultural sector, the impact of Green Revolution was confined to a few northern states. Less employment opportunities in industries and unequal distribution of land and other resources are some other causes. Socio-cultural and economic factors are also responsible for poverty. People borrow and spend huge money on social occasions. Small farmers borrow for agricultural needs. Unable to pay back the loan due to poor earnings, they fall into the vicious circle of indebtedness and poverty. Anti-poverty measures. The two-pronged anti-poverty measures in India aim at A. Economic growth and B. Targeted anti-poverty programs. The economic growth accelerated in 1980s and 1990s, when the growth rate improved from an average of 3.5% a year in the 1970s to about 6%. A simultaneous need was felt for human resource development. It stressed upon education with specific emphasis on the girl child. Farmers could not benefit directly from the economic growth, as they were largely dependent on agriculture alone. To tackle this, a number of anti-poverty programs were launched. Some of them are Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, (Manrega). Originally launched as National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, (NREGA) 2005, assured 100 days employment to rural youth. National Food for Work Program, NFWP 2004, merged with Manrega later on, provides wage employment to unskilled labor. Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana, PMRY, 1993. Rural Employment Generation Program, 1995. Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, SGSY, 1999. Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, 2000. Effective monitoring and proper implementation of these programs is required so that maximum rural population can benefit from them. The challenges ahead. Poverty in India has declined considerably, but the emphasis today is to raise our poor population from mere subsistence level to a reasonable level. There lies the major challenge of providing healthcare, education, and job security for all, achieving gender equality and dignity for the poor.
Summary. Let us summarize what we have learnt. Poverty is a general absence of basic necessities like food, clean water, shelter, healthcare, sanitation, clothing, and lack of a regular job to maintain a decent lifestyle. Landlessness, unemployment, size of families, illiteracy, poor health, malnutrition, child labor, and helplessness are issues related to poverty. The National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO, conducts surveys periodically to determine the poverty line. Though the percentage of the poor fell considerably by 2000, the number of poor remained stable at around 320 million for a fairly long period. Scheduled caste and scheduled tribe households and rural and urban agricultural households are the most vulnerable groups. According to the World Bank, a person living on less than $1 per day is said to be living below the poverty line. According to studies in 20 states and union territories, the poverty ratio is less than the national average. It is estimated that the poverty fell from 28% in 1990 to 21% in 2000 in developing countries. The foremost cause of widespread poverty in India is colonial policies during the British rule, which destroyed the local economy. Socio-cultural and economic factors are also responsible for poverty. Big farmers have surplus cash from savings, but small farmers mostly borrow money from large farmers, local money lenders, or traders.